best system. We all can see that now. We lost. We were all shocked. But now there is a process going forward, and it's just too bad that rather than pointing fingers and complaining, we can't all sit down and say, okay, what can we do to make it better? That was my issue.
No, I would give you this in regards to that. My focus was obviously when I came out of that election. I spent about a year totally not connected into politics. When you come through a race like that and you put everything into it, there was no connection at all. As far as speaking to people, it was more at the local level. Bobby wasn't really on the team as the guy in that direction. I assumed that they would go through and correct that. I didn't understand really the process by which the demands were put on from the national party. I started to understand that really there wasn't a whole lot of latitude in that regard. So it really wasn't an area that I was going to spend my time and energy saying, okay, we need to really correct the data area. I wasn't running at that point. I wasn't really going to be involved in that. I was working obviously in the grassroots and being involved in that end. But I saw really sort of the party. I didn't see the party as being really all that reform-minded, and beating my head against the wall and dealing with that structure wasn't something I was really even attuned to doing. Do I say it's all Bobby's fault that we lost the election? No. Do I think Bobby has a terrific fundraising capability and he has some real talent in that area? Absolutely. Do I think that we have a master plan that is flawed and that did not deliver really any new geographies or people groups? Yeah. Do I just stand here presenting saying this is my view of what the chair should be? That's what I'm getting. I realize some people will say, hey, that's 3 or 5 years ago you should have said something about that. From my perspective, I went out and did something about it. I didn't see that you could really do that through the RNC, that I had the ability to be able to go and sort of yell at the mountain and think it was going to move.
We want to wrap up here pretty soon. Let me just inject a couple things because I do know what's going on with the technology. There's several of us, and not just Steve and myself and Tea Party people, several people across the state pushing for months to get the recognition of something to be done. So one person, I don't know what the circumstances were. One person in 09 would not have moved the state party. Simple thing. It took a lot of pushing. So that's what we have.
Even with the conversation that I had.
I've been following you for a couple of years, Todd, and I like your presence. I like your ability to articulate your position. I'm a supporter of yours. And for the reason that I came into this in 2009, as many of us did, saying as a grassroots person, a Tea Party activist, if you will, if that's what you want to call it, I wanted to see us change the Republican Party because the Republicans and the Democrats, they're so little different, as you indicated. The Democrats are sprinting and the Republicans are compromising. That's the big word, compromising. But we all know that the definition of compromise is if we agree with the left and go their way. So I don't like the word compromise. I want to forge a party that stands on the principles that the Republican Party stands for: fiscal responsibility, pro-life, all the Republican things, the constitutional adherence, the founding principles, and all of that. And as I see in you, I see that youthful movement that's coming up from the grassroots. You've got the experience of having run a campaign and lost. And I'll tell you, there's a great deal to be learned from losing, as there may be from winning as well.
It's not as much fun.
It's not at all fun. And to be able to stand up and come back instead of sitting in your warm, comfortable living room in front of your fireplace and your big screen TV, I give a great deal of admiration to you for that fact. You learn a lot from losing. You learn a lot from winning. So I'm 100% behind you. I see you as that rebranding that this party at the state level needs, because we need to reach out to the college students that you spoke of, and you see how the Democrats are getting to them. It's through their identifying their college addresses. They're not even going to their homes anymore. The Black community. In fact, I tried to start a group where we would go into the black community, because I was convinced if we could get 10% of them to believe that voting Republican would follow their conservative roots, that would have been, we would never lose. If we could get 10% of the black community to really strongly believe in the Republican Party, we'd never lose. There has been no outreach. And I just see you as that rebranding, that grassroots up that we need, rather than Bobby Shostak, who from my point of view represents the elitist top-down approach. I don't have anything against Bobby Shostak.
People, let's get in control here. I wanna have questions. I don't wanna have preaching. Hold it, please, please. I don't wanna spend all day taking speeches.
I thought Devil Hayden
Todd,
kind of
I know, but we're not gonna do that anymore.
Devil Hayden is part of the alliance, and he's here asking questions to the alliance, not for his supporters to come in and give a speech.
Okay, Eileen, you had a question? Let's go with questions.
I see, sorry. In one of your, letters, emails, and I've read I've gotten so many, but I'm thinking that yours kind of said that you had been recruited for this. And when I read that, I thought, well, if I ever see him, I want to know who recruited him.
Goodness.
I know I talked to you when you were here last week.
People keep, they ask about that, maybe that wasn't the best word. When there was a poll done, and I was not involved in that back before Christmas, and somebody was trying to figure out who would run, and my name was one of like 5 or 6, I think Vic was on there, and a couple of others, and from that point on, I had instant messaging, texting, phone calling, I would say 250, maybe even more, people who Facebook and private message and went on and on asking me would I run for
Okay,
this
so
position.
somebody just put your name out there and then.
I was not involved in that. I came in actually that next day. They didn't pull my number, so it was kind of interesting. Is that on my my Facebook? It was just a whole bunch of. It was just totally filled with comment after asking me if I would run. So that was kind of the idea, and then to be involved in the background with right to work, I was constantly out there. So after the election, the very next day, I was involved with the Freedom to Work movement that was going on. So I never really stopped after the election. It was right out into. So immediately, then people are assuming that I was running for something. I was not. As a matter of fact, that was not my intention at all. So that gives you kind of, I think, there was no one person that said.
Somebody came up and said, hey, you need to run. So that's what
there was a lot of prayer about the whole idea of where our leadership is at, and maybe you guys trust the party leadership that we've had, not just in this state but nationally, that they have the best interest of the country at heart. I always feel like that they have the best interest of the country at heart until the most critical moment. And then there's a failure really of principle, and they compromise. And then they just tell us, we'll get them the next time. And I'm standing in direct contradiction to that. I'm saying that we have principles, they're good enough to run on, and they're good enough to govern on. And we're going to be a party of principles, and we're going to advocate for our platform. That's where I'm coming from. So.
Okay, we need to wrap up here.
He had his hand up. I don't know if you were.
Steve?
Yeah, there was a lot of disinformation today. Todd was on a lot of the 23 million mailers went out, the 800,000 bill handlers. I've probably got at least 2 or 3 pieces of mail in the state that the party's done on your behalf, as well as across the state. So I think if you're going to put out statements similar to that, you need to get some, because the party should have a list of which mailers were targeted to, and I know that the Board of Ed was on a lot of the stuff going out.
I can just tell you in the background, we had to beg for that to happen. Meaning it was a few dollars spent, and we had to beg for every dime or every moment. And that's what happened. So,
and personally, I'd like to get with you and clear up a lot of the misinformation you had on our vote. Because the whole strategy of the left, that's one of the things that I've been studying the last couple of years, and been trying willing to share that with the party from a Rector's perspective as a two-party activist. And there is a lot of movement happening here in the party, but you really have to understand fundamentally what the parties do and what their strategies are on both sides. And so.
And I'm happy when it comes to our votes, I think there needs to be a very serious, you have to evaluate kind of what you're going through. I think that's terrific, where essentially you create the grid and you start to fill in what this offers and what the costs are. Not every system can do everything, so you have to decide which one fits for where we're going, or it doesn't, and you scrap it. You know, when you hear that they have 100 programmers in Florida working on tracking down and IDing voters, that should give you pretty good. Yeah, I heard that. I mean, obviously a lot of this in the sense that they used a lot of technology. I think that kind of goes to that story. You know, as far as our votes, my perspective is that you just have to do the evaluation. You have a team that does that, and they kind of go through and inventory where did it come from, what's the risk of using it, what's the cost of using it, what's the benefit, what's the efficiency of using it. You kind of have to do that evaluation to come up with what's the best program. The problem is 2014 is coming right now, and they're IDing the voters as we stand here. So
Right. Yeah, I have a question, but first of all, my concern, Todd, is that I appreciate everything that you talk about in Central. And we've talked a little bit along the way, and Cindy, you guys stand for everything that we do. I don't want you to feel like you're coming to the Alliance here to be toasted.
Well,
by all of the Bobby Showstack supporters and everything else. No, the reality is though, there are things that I see in you that I would love for you to be running for representative of my area, and I'd be standing with you and walking, you know, the streets and stuff. But my concern is, are you really truly ready for the position of the chair of this business? Okay, that I don't believe you're ready for that personally. I don't believe you're ready for that. I am supporting Bobby Showstack, and the reason being is that there is some concern. And again, we see this at times. There is some concern that you've run for a couple of different positions, and now all of a sudden this position becomes one that a lot of people are trying to position you into.
Oh, good.
Okay, I know that's something you can't believe other people are.
No,
you understand?
I hear you.
That's
I
where
hear
we're,
you.
know.
I hear you.
But it's not that we're haters of you, lovers of Bobby Showstack. Do you understand that? There are things, and my wife and I have talked to Bobby Showstack. We understand the things that he has done and some of the things we don't agree with. Okay, so we want you guys to have an understanding that when we get lambasted as moderates, or those that aren't quite walking at the place of some of the grassroots people, we're all in the same place as far as trying to get our state back and our country back to where it should be. You know, you understand the Constitution, you understand where we need to be, and I appreciate that. And you have the intellect, you have the experience and everything else to move into some positions. We're just a little concerned.
Yeah, no,
at this point that you are not prepared for that position at this time. Okay, and that's it. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. You guys are hard workers, and I like that. We are too. But there again, there's some people that are involved in this thing that are controllers, and we're concerned a little bit about that. Take it for what it's worth. We're concerned a little bit about that, and we just want to know that the people that are running for positions, legit. And the question to you, is this something that you have a passion for? Is this something that you really truly believe that if you could come into this to this position, take it over in the state as the chair of the state of Michigan, that you could make that drastic a change or that much of a difference by the 2014 election? Or as we progress, we're in the trenches right now. We need to be, if you are elected to that position, are you ready and willing to get in the trenches, and can you really perform the way that you, there's a whole lot of hypothetical things. And as he said, and as he said back there, you're throwing out figures and you're throwing out things, and everything you said, I am in agreement with. There are some areas that we're not sure. Was there 26 million? Where was it spent? How was it spent? We don't know that either. So I'm just, but these are things that there's gray areas. There's nothing.
I can speak to some of that. I've only used the numbers that I've heard him say.
Yeah.
Or that people have said on his behalf. I'm saying if you're gonna use those numbers and then say, okay, I raised this. He's the one saying that he did it. Okay? I don't have any way of countering that because there's not really any transparency, even from the people I've talked to on the budget committee that have said, hey, there really is a lack of transparency in that area. Whether or not, I would lean on my professional credentials. You know, I mean, I have a business. I was an accountant first. My professional background, I don't know what Bobby's professional background is. I don't know what college he went to. I don't know that much about him personally. And you can look at that and say, what was really his background? He's a prolific fundraiser. Is that really the background for administering the party and putting forward a master plan that works? You know, I guess law school is grounds for something. Not sure that it in your mind it means that someone should be the chair of the party. Am I passionate about the idea that without what I would say is I've rephrased that. I'm passionate about the idea that we have to have conservative leadership in this party or we're dead in the water and we're just going to continue to slow off the country.
So your inference is that he is not as conservative or many of the leaders are not as conservative as we need.
I would say that is the case. I don't know his personal views on each issue. I have seen the way that he advocates, and I will tell you that mine will be stronger on each of the conservative issues that we're talking about. And I'll advocate for the platform. I believe that that's huge, and I'll tell you why. It's huge in the sense that during the off cycle, when you're advocating for the issues, and you're moving the party and sort of really keeping that energy focused on what can we do between cycles, that allows for you to mine new voters. When we talk about MoveOn.org and their ability, really their tremendous ability to create these silos, and I've spoken about this numerous times, is that, you know, they'll have a silo for same-sex marriage in the blog, and they have all these lists, and they have all this energy put into collecting data. That's something that I do understand. I do understand how to find my way around a database and around Excel, and also how to put in place a plan. I'm kind of a process-oriented guy. That's what I do. Obviously, if you're an accountant first and then you go to law school, that's kind of my background. So when it comes to that, I feel like the leadership really, there was a failure of implementation of a plan. John Wooden, obviously the idea is, you know, failure to plan is planning to fail. And are we really going to do it between here and really what we'll have is about 18 months? Are we really going to begin the process, seriously begin the process, the next day? Yeah, I'm ready to do that. I'm excited to do that part. I think that's going to be exciting. This part, obviously, is hard.
It's been very good, Doug. I really appreciate the question. It's been very good. Let's take one more and let it go.
Todd, well, just real quick, known you for a long time. For those who don't know, Todd has been part of the Lapeer Tea Party since it started. Been supportive. When he was running for election, he won the most. He won in our rating system when we were putting our voters guides together. Todd won that, and his hands down, he's a solid conservative. So I don't want anybody thinking anything like that. We can differ amongst what our opinions are on different things. But Todd, I wish you guys nothing but the best. But the one thing I'll tell you, and I told the same thing Mr. Shostak last time, coming up, this election, it's from here on out, we spent roughly the same, $1 billion, Republicans and Democrats. But they got us, and they got us on technology. Obviously, I'm a guy who firmly believes in the use of technology to achieve those ends. And so, if whoever wins, whoever wins, you will, if you're the winner of the convention, I can tell you, you will have the support of everybody in in this organization, in anybody that is a conservative. You'll have that support. The one thing that I hope and I make sure that as you guys move forward, please address the technology, whatever task work has been going. If you win, make sure that you include that and continue it or build on it. But we've got to, without the technology, we are a dead party. And I'll tell you, and again, I told this Mr. Shostak, if we don't do, that's why I was very specific in asking Gene what the timeline is. If we don't get this thing together, I may not be a part of the Republican Party in 2014. And I can't continuously, you know, and I think there's a lot of people that feel that way. So I wish you nothing but the best. But I said, for anybody that's interested, Todd is he's a stand-up guy. He has been a part of our group, and we can have differing opinions there of you know, we can agree. But I hope that after the election, no matter who comes out on top, that we're all working on that same thing, because we can't. 2014 is too important. I just appreciate all your efforts. Again, I've known you a long time, and you've just been top-notch.
No, I appreciate that. I'll just close with the idea that the efficiency of the use of technology is to bring really more efficient motion. If you're sending people out to ID voters at the moment, what you're really trying to do, get out the vote, it doesn't really work. So the reason that the Democrats have a continuous campaigning mode is because the idea is you have to ID the voters so that when you get down to the end, you can get those voters out. You have to establish the relationships earlier. And, Bobby, God bless him, he has his strengths, I'll have mine. He'll have his perspective on where we need to go as a party, and I have mine. I believe you're right. Technology is absolutely crucial. I think we really we missed an opportunity. I don't lay all that at Bobby's feet. I just believe that my perspective on what the chair should be involved in advocating for the platform. I'm just telling you that's where my energy and passion is for moving the party. And on the technology side, absolutely convinced that if we don't move in that direction, they're going to find 4 or 5 million new people between now and 2016. And we're going to again be talking about it again.
We're talking live or dead now.
What's that?
Live or dead now. That's it.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So no, I appreciate that, Bill. Thank you very much. Anything else? We're all
I was
good?
gonna say, I for one, as a Tea Party person, like choice.
Absolutely.
The GOP doesn't like choice.
Yeah.
They don't like to have two people to vote for, so I'm happy, that we've got a choice, and we've got two really good people to vote for. So, wanna thank you for stopping by.
God bless you.
Yeah, God bless you.
So I'll stick around and hear, is Cindy gonna speak, or?
You wanna speak, or you guys gotta go to your thing?
I can take just a quick minute. And
Yeah, if you want
we
to.
do have to go, but.
Yeah, I see.
Right.
Okay.
Supposed to run out, I know she's.
Okay, yeah, we have to go, but, thank you for letting me come speak to you guys today. I'd like to speak to you guys on something a little bit different, from a Tea Party leader, the other Tea Party leaders. I know just like you guys, I have worked in, last election, business centers, making calls, putting up signs, and doing all that, working hours and hours. And a lot of time with you, actually, in the war room, as we were making calls. And, was very frustrated, disappointed, shocked. You know, I remember after the election, talking to other Tea Party leaders, and I mean, some of us just didn't want to get out of bed the next morning, just how, disappointed we were. And now they've totally turned around for me. I'm very excited. I'm excited about the opportunity that Michigan has right now. I'm excited about Todd's campaign. You know, I was excited about Todd's campaign before he asked me to be his co-chair. And that's because one of the things when I read with Todd and Bobby, after Todd's first hat in the ring, I noticed Todd's very strong focus on the grassroots and the role that the grassroots should play. And now that Todd has asked me as his running mate, that just solidifies that in my mind. And what I'd like you guys to consider after you leave today is the impact that this election can have on the Tea Party grassroots movement, not just in our state, but in our nation, and what message that would send for other Tea Party members around the country to hear that the Michigan Republican Party is serious and willing to work with their grassroots, so much so that they have a Tea Party leader and a Tea Party member at the top of the ticket. That's a strong message that we could send to encourage and motivate the grassroots out there, not just in Michigan, but in other states around the country. And I've talked to other leaders around the country since I'm now a candidate, and they're excited. In California, and Indiana, and Ohio, Pennsylvania, they're like, you're kidding me, right? I mean, wouldn't that be amazing to have the Tea Party leader at the top of the ticket in the Michigan Republican Party? That sends a strong message. And as Tea Party leaders, I hope you take that into account, because this race is not about Todd and I. And we're not in it for Todd and I. And you guys know that, and I know you know it because you're not in it for yourselves either. So I can speak to you heart to heart on that. This is about much more than that. I mean, we're trying to save our nation at this point. There's a lot of things I'd rather be doing than spending all the hours a day doing what we're doing, and I know you guys feel the same way. So I feel that, you know, through a lot of prayer and praying for a lot of years, that God will bless our efforts. God will bless this movement. And I think He has, and I think He's brought us to a point. He's given us opportunity that we have been working for. We've been working for this for years. I remember when I met Dean, the first time I met Dean, when I was coming into Michigan, he had told me about the plan of the precinct delegate. Indiana wasn't doing that at the time, and I was very impressed, and I thought, that's really cool. And he kind of told me that plan of how they were going to do that so they could, you know, eventually move up to the top position. But that took years. All your work, all your effort is here, it's now. And I hope that you just consider that and take advantage of that. Because we're here for you guys and all the other Tea Party and all the other grassroots that are around. And that burden weighs heavy on me to be able to represent you well and to do the job that needs to be done. Because when Pastor Connie just talked to me, it's time to walk the walk, it's time to do it. But I've been working for this, and you've been working for this. And I just hope that you take that into consideration. And along with that, you know, who Todd is. He's a man of integrity, he's a man of faith, he's a man of principle. He has the vision that the party needs, he has the strategy to get it done. He wants to unify the grassroots along with the party faithful. And I think he'll bring the army to do that. And so I'm honored to be his running mate, and I just hope that you guys will take those things into consideration. And this will be a very different speech than I give to anybody else, because I know where your hearts are, and I know who I'm talking to. So that's all I want to say.
Cindy, can I say something to that?
Yeah. So you're not going to grill me with questions?
I'm not going to grill you
I
with
saw what
questions.
Todd went
Cindy,
through,
I'm
and I
not going to grill you with questions, but I've watched you ever since you come into this state, and Todd too, and I believe everything you say, and we understand where you're coming from, and we are the Tea Party. Again, I can only speak for myself, and others can speak for themselves. My concern on that end is that you're working with some people that aren't as reputable as you. You're working with some people that have called us as a movement, as the alliance here, all kinds of names, been labeled as moderate, been labeled a whole bunch of things, and names that I don't even know if you guys know. But we have never come back, called anybody on your side names. We've never addressed anything other than, hey, you guys do your thing, and if somewhere along the line you can come together, that's fine. That's our concern. There's some people involved with you guys that we are in no way going to get in bed with. We're not gonna go to bat for them. For you guys, I agree. I appreciate you guys, and I hear your heart. And believe me, we're born again Christian people. Not everybody here is, but we are. And we've been praying just as hard as you guys have prayed. Okay?
I know you have.
So you got to understand that.
Yeah.
But there's things that's been going on that have not been right. For the last year and a half to 2 years, and we have not been pleased at all with the way that everything's been handled. So
can I just comment on
like
that? I think I know some of what you're saying, but maybe not all of it, because you gave people that aren't necessarily good people. But I don't have a heart for that divide. That's not me. I don't want to really be held responsible for what others do. My heart is to work with everybody. That has always been my heart. And that is what I've tried to do for the last 2 years. So if you're concerned about those things, which I agree, because I think a unified Tea Party is a stronger Tea Party, and that's what I have been working for. If you're concerned about those things, and I hope you would give us the opportunity to help in that area, and to take leadership on that and set a different tone. Okay. Thank you.
I think I can speak to that too, because now I kind of understand when I come in.
Extend the invitation to Cindy from, as a Tea Party leader, extend it once again to join the alliance and work with us with the other Tea Parties.
Anytime.
Yeah.
We're meeting once a month. I mean, we're here every month.
Okay, and I apologize for the meeting on the same day. I sent you guys an email. I did not know. I honestly apologize. It was not intentional for the powwow to be on this day, and I will always ask you. Seriously, I apologize for that.
I think
You're all good.
I think just in leaving, as I'm going out the door, after doing a whole bunch of roasting in this room, I knew it was gonna be hot when I came in, and I'm good with that. Actually, I appreciate that, because now there's some vetting there, and I can feel your frustration with sort of the words, and, now I can, when we get to the end, it would've been actually better to be able to hear that, where we connected on those issues before. The people that you're talking about that I've heard, hey, calling moderate and this and that and the other, personally, myself, I think it's good to have healthy debate, no question about it. Kind of goes to yours, the idea of competition of ideas, me running. I think that it's very wrong it's wrong to have somebody run unopposed. If there's another perspective, it should be brought out and fleshed out. It's partly why I'm running, is because I believe there is another vision to the party, and implementation of it is huge. On the perspective of the people you're talking about are not involved in the campaign. I've been in, near continuous meetings on my campaign in particular, and I can speak to you, you can mention the names, and we wouldn't necessarily do that here, and none of those people are actually in the meetings that you're talking about.
They're very influential.
They are, and I've had to push back on that. I have, and I think it's wrong I think it's wrong to call, people, or to demand, or to jump on people for saying they're Bobby, Shostak supporters or whatever. There's a guy I saw at Macomb, and he's getting paid to help Bobby, and who I consider to be just a really genuine Christian, God-fearing man that I've enjoyed visiting with over these past cycles of time. And he said, Todd, I appreciate all your message, and I appreciate everything you're doing and everything, and I hope after this, however it comes out, if you win, I'll be there to support you. But I'm already in and on his team. From my perspective, I have been there as well. And your support came to him, many of you, before I even got on the field.
That's another thing that I wanted to say.
And so, from my perspective, I have been there, and I've told people, I say, if you're already in that spot, I have given my word to people in the past, and when I give my word to people in the past, and then somebody else comes on the field, and they come on late, for whatever reason, however God organizes that, I don't come here saying that, hey, you're sort of a this, that, or the other because you're supporting that guy. I don't. I came here to present where I see the vision of the party, where I believe it needs to go. And I understand that some of you have already supported it, and I've been in that position, and I have had to go to prayer and say, I've given my word, and I'm not going to back away from it. Now, I've reluctantly been in that situation because, in reality, the person I wanted to have to assist is now on the field. But I can tell you personally, I've struggled with that in the past. So I've told those people that you're talking about, hey, look, you can't lambaste and you can't jump on these people who already came out beforehand. Now the guy that I was talking about, I told him, I said, you need to run hard for Bobby. Do everything you can for him, because when I beat him, I don't want any crying about it.
There you go.
And of course, he laughed too.
This is from Jim Westler. Jim Westler wants to know if you would ask Todd to repudiate them publicly.
Yeah, I have done that, and I've said, hey, cool it. I even did it in a conference call, obviously coming out and saying, this person, that person, that person. I don't have any, there's a couple of them I don't even know that are out there. Some of there was a Facebook post that they posted on my wall, and I immediately said, look, that's not what my campaign is about. I'm presenting a plan. I'm not going to win by trashing that stuff. Where I hear he raised a certain amount of money, I'm going to say, he says he raised a certain amount of money, but nobody can see the data to tell you whether or not he did or not. I can say that because nobody has. I'm not saying that because I think that, there's some lack of integrity. I found Bobby to be, from my perspective, to be an honorable guy. Meaning when I've spoken to him, I don't have any issue with Bobby personally, and this isn't what this is about. I'm presenting where I believe the party needs to go in my plan. I'm not going to go through trashing him on some of those other nefarious things that, we all know about. I'm not going to do that. It's not going to come from me, but I don't have a lot of control over it. As you know, those personalities are pretty strong. And I get, hit pretty hard when I try to say that's not the way it's going. So, you know, from every perspective, you know, when you run for office, I'll just tell you, it's not for the faint of heart. It's not, it's terrible, it's terrible, so you know. But what I would say from your perspective, I have nothing against any of you that are already supporting Bobby that came out beforehand. I don't at all, not in the slightest. And I suspect when Bobby, whoever comes out of this, they're gonna need all hands on deck to be able to bring forward the vision that really is going to capture the hearts and minds of the people. That's absolutely the case. We all know that technology is a problem. We all know that our planning missed some things this last time around. We all get that, okay? I'm saying, who is the best person to carry the torch forward? If you, in all honesty, I don't know if Bobby has said this, in all honesty, if you think it's him, then vote for him. If you think that these things were, you know, you flesh it all out, then vote for him. If you don't, and you believe, hey, there needs to be a change, that's what I'm here to present. I believe that there needs to be a change. So,
Thank you.
I'll close. Is that kind of quick?
Yeah.
That would have been better to have at the front end. You guys got the wins out.
Thank you so much.
God bless you too. I appreciate
the best, and you will have our support if you.
Yeah, I got that. I get that. Totally good. Totally good. Okay. All right. God bless you. Thank you.
And if you
Thank you.
haven't endorsed Bobby.
Okay.
Yeah,
thank you.
And, this is
No,
for
no,
Jim.
don't even worry about it. Don't even worry
What's it,
about
raining down there? You can't get out on the golf course? What's going on?
Yeah.
Okay, next agenda, we didn't order pizza, but we're gonna go straight through what's going on.
Who wants pizza?
I wanna know who you guys are talking about. Is this just
Who
somebody new?
wants pizza?
I know,
Name.
that's what Jim Russell was questioning.
Who wants pizza? Who wants to keep going? Pizza, who wants pizza? Let's go. Let's order pizza. Yeah.
We can eat.
We're way.
Yeah, we can eat. Because I think I would need presentation. Presentation, 3 minutes. And I put a lot of hours.
We're all good, okay.
Okay, so let's,
Pizza.
Yeah.
she's gonna bring in the pizza, so let's just go right along. Next one here is issue tracking with Don. You wanna present that?
It's gonna take 2 minutes.
Very good.
That's what I thought, I didn't want to.
This stuff is from, Snyder State of the State, and it's the proposed expansions and limitations. And I honestly don't know how to track them, because by the time they go into a committee, they're gonna be called something else most likely. But if we can track them and catch them in committee, we can either support them in committee and get them out, or we can maybe get them killed in committee. We've had that stuff happen to us before. And this, I've got the list of what they were, and that's about all I got to say, because I truly don't know how to track them. I'm John Eckler. I'm from Mid-Michigan Patriots from Mount Pleasant.
Sound like that might fit into what you're gonna talk about.
Yeah, I'm gonna expound upon that.
Well, I'll get right out of your way.
Thank you very much.
Well, the point being that the things that go against the Tea Party principles, maybe fiscal responsibility, we wanna have some way of making sure we influence the right people at the right time.
Yes, and if we can keep track of these somehow,
Yeah.
and catch them in committee, we can kill them
what's
there,
happened-
maybe.
And what's happened, I get 12 emails a day saying this is the most important thing we have to do today.
Yeah. All 12 of them.
And,
Is that one more than that 12?
So what I'm thinking is, and I don't know how we're gonna do it, but I don't have quite the idea, and maybe Joe can speak to it more.
Oh, you're Joe, you're the person I want to talk to.
That's Joe. We need, the best thing is to have some kind of a central place, and maybe the folks, who are the folks who did that spreadsheet? The rating,
Yeah, the independent talk, yep.
Maybe those folks will be interested in it. We need a central control point. So if you get one email that says, these are the important things you're gonna be in committee, if that blows up your skirt, then you can show up for the committee on Thursday or whatever it is.
Or at least get it out to all you folks that get a hold of those people in that
Right.
committee, let's get this stopped today.
Yeah.
Cause that's a heck of a lot easier to stop them in committee.
Yeah.
But you gotta have a centralized,
Yeah, that, yeah.
cause you can't have 12 a day, cause I'll ignore them and people like them will ignore them. So it's gotta be,
There is no one in this room lazier than me.
I might disagree with you there, my
Because I
friend.
read, you send me 2 pages.
I know my wife
I might
would.
get 2.
I got a plan for the lady, because everybody.
Not lazy, not
It's not lazy, we're busy, that's all.
And people get so bombarded, they don't have time for so much things. So it's like, give them everything they need. If you press the send button, and then more people will do it. But, you know, what I'm gonna present so dovetails into what you're saying about focusing like a lady, about having priorities, about putting a lot of other things on the back burner, focusing on the most important thing, and
right.
everybody uniting to run with it in a big sport. You know, we're all,
So why don't we put you up right
You
away,
thought you
you
were the
need,
pizza
overhead or,
yeah, I do.
look that up.
Gene, you want to take 5 while we take 5?
Yeah, let's, we got little potty break, whatever you
When they
want.
come
For anybody watching, we're gonna be back on, about 5 minutes, we're gonna take a 5-minute break.